Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the, I guess, fourth and final panel discussion of the day. I know we have one of the toughest challenges of the day because we're starting the panel right after lunch, and usually this is the time when everybody tends to get a little bit drowsy. So we'll try to keep the discussion lively and open for a lot of interventions and discussions. My name is Miks Mužeras, and welcome to the panel discussion on digitalization for sustainable development. As was said quite a lot in the past panels, and also what we've seen on the overall media agenda, digitalization is starting to become a very important aspect of sustainable development. As the minister said in the morning, it had a pivotal role in helping us achieve our independence and to strengthen us as a democratic state. But digital technologies tend to have a vast impact on our societies and therefore also on development cooperation. At the same time, what we see, there's still quite a lot of challenges starting from the digital divide with aspects related to scalability and sustainability, as well as gender inclusion that we touched upon as well. So today we're going to try to dig deeper into some of these aspects and try to understand what are some of those practical lessons learned, what are the best practices internationally, and most importantly, what can Latvia do in this agenda moving forward. I would like to introduce you to the overall panel, distinguished panel of the day. I mean, I would say that this is a panel of many hats. When I was looking at the bios, I realized that everybody's involved in so many aspects. And so we'll definitely hear a lot of interesting perspectives. So first of all, Jackie Malomba, who is a board member of the Kenya Association for Women Business Owners. She's also a graduate teaching fellow at the Strathmore University in Nairobi, as well as an advisory board member of the social enterprise EM4. And has been involved in a lot of peacekeeping and conflict transformation projects around Kenya and the broader region. Tālis Juhna is the rector of the Riga Technical University, and he's also involved in several research councils, industry and academic clusters, including the fields of climate change and technology, biotechnology, and material science. He's also been included in the UN high-level expert group on science, technology, and innovation issues, and is an ambassador of the European Union Innovation Council. I know I'm not mentioning all of these hats here. Then we have Alice Gorenko, who is the Riga Tech Girls co-creator and the startup program director. As well, she's worked for many years in Tech Hub Riga, both as a board member and managing director, and has been running quite a lot of projects on women's ICT skills in the development cooperation space. But last but not least, Kaspars Kauliņš, chair of the board of the Latvian IT cluster and the international business development director at Tilde. Has been he's over 20 years of experience working in business development, HR, and strategic business consulting. So welcome to the panel. I think we have quite a distinguished number of panelists today. In order to start out the discussion on digitalization, one of the key areas of focus would be to keep this discussion practical and try to see what are the key lessons learned in this aspect. And for that reason, I would like to invite panelists to provide a brief 7-minute overview of some of the projects they've been involved in this space of digitalization in development cooperation. So I give the floor to Tālis Juhna for an overall introduction.
Okay, thank you, first of all, for a nice introduction. Indeed, it's maybe the right place to start from education, because indeed I'm a rector of Riga Technical University and a professor for many years. And as a technical university, we of course coming across the digital technologies on a daily basis. So what I'm going to do is share some of our experiences and also give some example. So what I can promise, the last slide would be most interesting. So just keep you awake. Right. So, as it was mentioned, had a chance also to work as a Science and Technology Council member at UN, and I spent there 2 years. And one of the discussion was at the multi-stakeholder forum about 2 years ago, and actually the topic was the same. We talked about digital divide. It was more at the, of course, global level. And there are some figures, perhaps you know them, but I think it was sensible to mention those before we talk about solutions. We have to have a problem and have to define it in figures. As you see here, digital divide increases. Still, there's 50% of kids on the wrong side of divides, meaning that, of course, in Europe we do not experience that so much, but globally, it's a huge problem, and it was really very clearly seen after COVID, because COVID, of course, this was kind of test to really observe how the different countries are ready to use digital technologies. Another maybe figure is about that the high school students learning, the ones who were not having access to the digital technologies, they are lagging behind 5 and maybe even more months, creating also economical impact on particular countries. So I think these figures are very clearly indicating that digital technologies and digitalization in general are playing a crucial role, not just for the academics or business, but also for society as such. I just also on the figure side, so we see that looking at 1 year, that in average 5 months behind mass, and then you see that also the mostly black communities and Hispanic communities are the ones who are suffering from that. But on the other side, if you see how COVID has influenced, let's say, adaptation of technologies, this has been, on the other side, for the countries which are more ready for that, have created a kind of boost in using technologies. I know from university, I remember this meeting with some of professors, we said, okay, in 2 weeks we have to start teaching online, and of course everyone, not everyone, but many said, okay, how can we do this? And believe me, in 1 month everyone was just, watching the screen and also having lectures online. So I think this kind of crisis also have really proved that this is also the way that the technologies could be more effectively used if you have a need for that. And just some takeaways before we proceed with our examples from Latvia. I think our observation is that we are not just talking about how technologies should be moved from, let's say, from university to the application, but we have to talk about innovation, because we need to think about what are the ways, not only technologies, but also the ways we work with technologies to educate better. And I think there are many knowledge which we can actually learn from cooperation with universities, and we've been very actively engaged not only on the education front, but also on research, on technology transfer, working also with the startups, also working with the companies. And I'll give you some examples. But what I want to say is that as universities, of course, we are a bit, maybe have a kind of vision what would happen with technologies in coming years. And this could be use advantage if we talk about innovative application of innovative technologies. This is a long list of the things that we could do and things which have been already done. When you integrate digital infrastructure, teaching methods, and also the human capacity, and it could be done all the way from primary to the higher education, including also vocational education. I mean that Khan Academy is one example. I think tech girls are doing an excellent job. And I think this is something we need to learn, that we have to both have a teaching method, but we need to also have access to digital infrastructure. And I would like to share a few examples from what we do at the university. We are the technical university, the largest in the region, and of course, we work a lot with providing digital skills. So we have created number of high-level digital courses. What do we mean by high-level? Meaning that the students and also industry have access to a high-performance computer, and we teach them not only just basic skills like using Excel, but using, how to really apply big data, how to use supercomputers for their businesses, for example. Then we also have been working and providing support for, actually we have a project with Google now, providing support for training in rural areas cybersecurity skills. And also we have created some of the entrepreneurship programs which are merged with IT skills. For example, together with Riga Business School, which is one of our units, and Buffalo University, we have created a special program to really train people who would later on train other, provide more expertise on not just IT, but they will be part of entrepreneurship ecosystem. Regarding infrastructure, we have access to high-performance computer. We show you example bit in a minute. And I think what is useful about is, one is that through that you have access to the processing of big data. You are connected to the world, for example, to CERN. We have several projects with CERN. And also you can train some of the future technologies using this approach. And of course, on the research front, working with quantum computing, photonics, which was one of the areas we are good at, is also to provide the future digital technologies which will be used in 10 years or so. Universities are also good at providing connection at the European level, for example, EIT Digital Network or European University of Technology Network. These are just a few examples where universities at the European level can cooperate, both in terms of staff exchange, of knowledge exchange, and also helping develop businesses. For example, tomorrow we have a hackathon with Meta for how to use artificial intelligence for business. And we work with the startups, helping startups to in the early stage to build their capabilities and also technologies which can be then maybe decisive in the success of these small companies. And as I said, also providing access to the scientific equipment. Few more concrete examples. So we have this program. We have quite ambitious plans to train more than 7,000 students in edX courses using so-called distant Internet of Things lab. Meaning basically you could be in Africa, you could be in South America, and you could connect to this course, and through internet actually you are building your your devices, and you working really hands-on one hand. On the other hand, you have excessive support from professors in the best universities in the world. Living labs, one example also we having in our campus. Our campus is just across the river. So we're building living labs, meaning that we integrate, for example, sensors inside the buildings, and we actually testing how the future technologies using also artificial intelligence would help us to solve like climate issues, consuming less energy, operating better buildings and saving some of the also resources. And then also using the access to again to the HPC machine, we help also during the COVID with solutions on this advanced equipment. We work with the companies, helping them to develop some digital twins, and also as I mentioned, also we connected to the world scientific institutions. And to conclude, I would just want to show this video, how the digital twin of our campus looks like, just to make sure that I'm not just making it up. Thank you. It takes two. 1 minute. So this is actually our campus. This is the very center of a campus. So we're going to the one of the buildings. We have 4 faculties, and that the faculty the first you will see, this is the Faculty of Civil Engineering. So basically you have access, I mean, this is, you can fill this with all infrastructure you want. You can build actually the kind of physical wall. So the students are working on these kind of projects as a part of their curriculum. And as you see, this is also fun on one hand, but also this is the future of the, for example, civil engineering using BIM technologies. And there's a, I think, good example how the students have a really hands-on experience using our campus as a training ground. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. I think this provides quite a insightful view in terms of how universities can come in and provide access to higher education and also the different testing grounds for various technologies. It means also barriers are being broken down, and it has broader effects, not just in Latvia or Europe as a whole, but globally as well. So this is a really great example. To follow on with some of those practical examples, how digitalization comes into the Sustainable Development Agenda, I would also like to give the floor to Jackie to provide sort of a broader and a more nuanced perspective from her experience. Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Talis. Excellent. I'd like to visit that campus. Yeah, so as Mick said, my name is Jackie Malomba, and I'm the founder of Afri Women Connect. I had to find my own platform over and above serving in several boards that are linked towards women and social enterprise and peace building, and then education for the girl child. So those are my 4 spaces. So digital solution and empowerment for women. That's where we are at now. So I speak from the context of Kenya, Africa, and to a lesser extent, the world. In Africa, many parts of the world are there are things that disempower every single business owner, and then there are things that specifically disempower the woman. And that is what we have our study has come to realize. For example, when it comes to access to finance, like for example, in my country, Kenya, all over the world, over 90% of business owners face a challenge in getting work capital, and Afri Women Connect was privileged to be one of the, to be part of our research done in 2017 through the Gracia Machel Foundation. And 3 things stood out for us that hinder women from progressing as women in business. One of them was access to funding. It's always the top. And then there was access to markets. And then we had social culture and basically how the African woman is socialized as a hindrance. And as time went on, I came to realize that because of the way we are socialized, we even resist innovation, we resist digital solutions. And this is even more true when it comes to women business owners, to convince women business owners that if they embrace technology, then their work is going to be easy. They're resistant, and for good reasons. They think or they believe that either they will be judged if they go to social media, or the ideas will be stolen, and they don't know anything about protecting their property, their intellectual property. And it's, for them, it's just a lot of work. Let me just do what I'm used to. Let me not start thinking and doing things differently. So this is even more true when it comes to women in business owners, as I said. So the problem is further compounded in Africa and in developing countries because most of the women do not have access to collateral. So when it comes to accessing finances, it becomes a challenge. And for us, it's always about things like title deeds for land. In Africa, we value land a lot. Then majority of the women do not have bank accounts in some of the economies in Africa. due to lack of collateral and bank accounts, many women business owners are not able to access credit. And over and above this, women feel overworked. They have too much to do in their hands. So even just going to the bank for them is extra work. So they'd rather not have even bank accounts at all. But again, they ask themselves, why should I go to the bank and yet I cannot be able to borrow? And when I go to the bank gives me a whole list of stuff that I need to bring in. So in Africa, when a woman wanted to take a loan, they were asked to get their husband's approval. But I am a retired banker or a seasoned banker for that matter. I worked in the banking industry for 20 years, and I'm happy to report that even some African gentlemen used to tell me that as a bank manager, let me go and consult my wife and then I'll be back. Sometimes they never came back, so it means the woman said, no, we are not borrowing anymore for good reasons. Women will stop the borrowing for good reasons, yeah? Our salary right now, our income will not be able to accommodate another installment of a loan or something like that. Or they know the husband better. If he gets hold of that money, we are not sure he's going to put it in the project. We noticed, or I noticed, that even men seek approval from their wives, but generally women could not borrow without consent from their husband. Women are naturally caregivers. So, as I said, women find their hands very full in Africa and some parts of the developing world. Caregiving or raising up children is the bona fide occupation for women. Because of this, many of them found that they could not be available to do business on a full-time basis. And you all know that for business to succeed, it really requires your total or full-time attention to it, especially the first 2 years. And that is where research has shown that businesses actually fail. So the first 2 years, you break your back to just make sure your business works. But women, because of the other duties they have to perform as women, then are not able to give their businesses their all. So in most cases, these women found themselves hard-pressed to put food on the table because either their husbands were irresponsible or their income was insufficient. And we're not talking about just food. Food is really basic. There's even shelter, there's education for the child, and even healthcare, taking your children to hospital, because healthcare in like my country is not affordable to most. And the government hospitals that are there don't actually have enough facilities or medication to take care of the overwhelming needs. Therefore, you will find many of these women running small businesses, or what we call small hustles, businesses to be able to meet their household needs or support their husband's income, if any. These businesses or hustles are makeshift. They do not have structures, and therefore the woman could not even have bank accounts. You tell her that you need to take your money to the bank, and she doesn't even have a bank account. So ideally, owning a bank account was something new to a big number of women, especially in the rural setup. But the advent of digital solutions, especially mobile banking, opened new opportunities, and bankable women were able to save and manage their monies in a mobile wallet, which operates as a bank account. And as Talis has just said, COVID also really opened our eyes as women and women in business. And women found themselves actually embracing technology and embracing this because we could not even go into the banking halls, even if we had a bank account. So COVID was not good, but to some extent, it gave us an opportunity to realize the importance of digital solutions. Digital solutions have enabled women to access some of the banking and other financial services offered especially by apps and mobile companies. In Kenya, I think almost everybody has heard about the M-Pesa. So it's like your bank account on your phone. And we have we have apps like M-Copper. M-Copper will actually even provide women with, they'll provide women with a free phone. It's not free because they'll have to pay for it, but just for them to access their app, which is like a marketplace on your phone. And you're able to know where to sell your products and where to get services and even products that you need. So it's a market, but on the app. And women were able to embrace the M-Copper, and we have the K-Kiosk also as well. So, the advent of digital solutions, especially on mobile money, opened a lot of opportunities, as I have said, and digital solutions have enabled women to access some of the banking and other financial services. And women have really succeeded once they embraced this, because we were able to also offer them what we call financial literacy and how they can really benefit from these digital solutions. The Kenya digital mobile money market size reached US $133 billion and is expected to grow by 18.45 in 2024. Isn't that a good growth? So this is largely driven by the informal business, of which majority are women. So a lot of our women are in the informal sector. On realizing this shift in direction, many African banks have embraced digital banking solutions to tap into this huge market, hence further enhancing financial inclusivity among the bankable. And I'm happy to report that last year, 2023, AfriWomen Connect partnered with USAID to just identify the products, the banking products that can actually support women and which women will be able to embrace. And we successfully did that. And you'll find that a lot of banks have now come up with new products that are pro-women or make it easy for women to take part in banking. So through digital solutions, they can access a variety of services. They can make orders, supply, be paid, make payments from the comfort of their homes or businesses. But the most important thing about this is they're able to keep records, which is very important for them. Keep records, see whether the business is growing, when does it grow, the good seasons and the not so good seasons, and see how they can be able to mitigate any challenges that they come across as business people. When it comes to accessing finance, digital lending products have also made it possible for women to access working capital because they don't have to go to the bank. And when you tell a woman you don't have to go to the bank, she sits and listens. When you tell her you have to go to the bank, then she says, I might as well not take it. So I remember when I was in the bank, if we gave a woman a list of things that she needed to come with to the bank, she would say, okay, and she'll go with the list and not show up the following day. And you'll call her up and she'll keep on telling you she'll come. But for them, it's basically time. So several digital lending products have been developed which lend money to businesses without collateral. So mainstream banks in Kenya have also begun lending without asking for collateral because they've realized this was keeping women away. And it's not just collateral, but they're not asking for too many things. Yeah, just a couple of things. And they're able to take care of everything. So this means that any woman who operates a mobile telephone, even if it is connected to the husband, is able to access credit for businesses, yeah, at the comfort of their homes or their shops or their cars. Yeah, so therefore digital solutions have empowered women and enabled women to have easy access to various services. And we're all very excited about this. There's a lot of learning going on in Kenya, in Africa, around digital solutions. Learning has been enhanced, especially after COVID. During COVID, we got the highest number of women embracing technology and simply working from their offices or their homes because they are able to log in or tap into webinars that are very relevant to their businesses and give them more skills and knowledge. So access to knowledge virtually, access to learning opportunities. Digital learning helps build capacity. In Kenya, women have access to webinars and other forums. We now even do events on the digital platform, and even the best is annual general meetings. Access to new markets, social media platforms such as Facebook, empower women through training and access to markets. In Kenya, women are accessing e-learning platforms. I am now doing a master's in peace building in the US at a university called EMU, the Mennonite University, but while in Kenya, so and I'm very excited about that. So they're able to do e-learning. In some of the programs that we run as Afri Women Connect, we find that more and more women are able to access these opportunities and knowledge without interrupting their regular schedules as caregivers. They remain the African woman. So in Kenya, the majority of our cottage industries are run by women, and access to digital training allows them to access knowledge and content right from the comfort of their businesses without having to leave their premises. And so digital solutions have actually enabled women to be able to almost equalize with the modern woman. And for them, I think they say it's more affordable, it's cheaper, they don't have to move around, they don't have to spend on transport, they don't have to travel to the urban centers to access these trainings and learnings. Therefore, digital solutions have empowered women in these two major ways. They have flattened the structures and have given women access to things that they would not have access to. So then we have as mentioned, one of our digital solutions. I'm just winding up. Yeah, so it was the M-Copper. I talked about it. You can see how that woman is very excited. Before I got my smartphone, my chickens were dying. Now I send photos to the agrovet, and he helps me by giving me advice on telling me the medicines that I need to buy instead of me traveling like 50 kilometers or 20 kilometers to the agrovet. So she's very excited that she has that solution through her phone. So women register for these free smartphones. They pay back, and M-Copper has been there for over 5 years, and they have recorded success in their businesses, minimal failure. So the smartphone is paid for in installments of 12 months, and the women are very happy, and men as well. And then we have the K-Kiosk. That's another innovation. It's an app, and it's a distribution app, and you can see the integration between the women, the traders, and the services that are provided, all of them meeting at that one point on the phone. Yeah, so that is the last slide. Yeah, so credit kiosk offer convenience with credit options, including their popular buy now, pay later program, very, very popular. So platform has 160,000 retailers doing business the smart way, currently. And empowering smallholder farmers by digitizing the journey from agro input to agro dealers through information access to make linkage to off-takers and fresh produce as well. So again, you know the importance of agri-business or agriculture to us. Digital solutions empowering women has actually worked, especially after COVID. We all embraced digital solutions. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Jackie, and sorry for interruption.
It's okay.
It was a very, very thorough overview in terms of how digitalization affects both access to finance, access to different types of services, and then thanks also for sharing some of those practical applications that generally have made it easier for farmers or women's-run businesses to function. But now going into ICT skills and practical projects also in the field of building the skills of women in the ICT sector. I give it over to Riga Tech Girls. Alice, if you have 7 minutes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jackie, for covering actually quite a lot about the background. And me as a startup program director, I can definitely say that digital solutions empower women. So, but now I'll keep my presentation short and quite practical and tell about our experience. So Riga Tech Girls is a community that empowers and inspires to be part of tech. We increase equality and inclusion by improving digital skills in Latvia and beyond. We believe that tech is for everyone, and for the last 8 years, we're organizing so many different programs, workshops, meetups, hackathons to develop digital skills in society in Latvia and support ladies joining Tech Force. This is our experience in a few numbers, quite a lot we have done in the last 8 years. And basically, we work like in 3 main verticals. The first one is we help ladies to transition into tech and inspire them about different tech professions. And one of the biggest programs that we have is Discover Tech. This year, going to be the 6th season. More than 20,000 people went through this program, and it's very inclusive and very diverse. It's open for everybody, regardless of age, gender, beliefs, or whatsoever. It's fully online, so it's accessible for everybody, and it's in Latvian, which is important for people who really are insecure about their maybe English skills, but still want to learn more about what is tech. The second vertical is we help founders and especially female founders and future founders. We empower them and support them in their early stages of thinking of entrepreneurship, because it might be very overwhelming and scary because of the reasons that Jackie already covered before. And the third vertical is we're improving digital skills in society. We ran quite a few programs for specific groups, again, during the COVID times, which were challenging for teachers, healthcare professionals, and creatives as well, that had to move all their business and operations to the stratosphere that they didn't know much about before. And another program that we had was actually worldwide. It was program Digital Skills for NGOs. It was for free for all NGOs in Europe and world. People could apply and learn more about different digital tools and solutions that can help their causes and their communities. And if we're looking at tech education journey, so basically there are 3 steps. First one is we need to inspire people and society that tech is something that's available, it's not scary, there's a lot of opportunities, and it can be useful. And the second phase would be a deep dive into different tech verticals and, again, professions, learn more about them, about the opportunities that they can offer. And the third phase would be implementation of tech and usage that in their daily lives, their work lives, and creating some innovations as well. And now, I want to tell a bit more about the programs that we created with our partners in the last few years. It all actually started with Summer School for Girls that we ran in Latvia starting from 2020. So this year was 5th season. So we have to inspire girls quite early, right? Because when they're teenagers, it might be too late. Actually, there's a lot of researches have been done. I don't have numbers now, but in the, what's the school before the middle school? So, Elementary school. Thank you so much for help. So in the elementary school, girls are quite excited actually about STEM and maths and everything, but in the middle school, stereotypes happen, a lot of things happen, and girls are not that sure about their skills anymore. So that's why we created Summer School for Girls. 1 week in summer, we created a curriculum of a lot of different practical workshops, and we gamified that camp as well. And over the years, we focused on a lot of different topics, such as space tech and game design, and the girls were creating their own games. And I mentioned we started that 5 years ago, and we have quite a lot of ladies who are joining us every year because it's fun. So, and based on this experience, we, with our partners from South Africa and Cameroon, moved our knowledge and our know-how to both countries last year in summer. So ran quite a similar camp with our experts, with our teachers. It is a difference, I think. It was a bit different approach, but actually, if we're talking about the gains and the learnings, and the most amazing thing that we see now from this experience is that these girls that went through the camp are helping to organize next year's camp on their own. So they created a community, they're spreading the word, and they're help the peers. And for us, it's amazing to see the energy and the passion and the interest in those new digital solutions that they learned about. Here we can see our two teams in South Africa and Cameroon, and happy ladies that went through the camp. It was quite an experience. And the next phase, if we started, that there's 3 phases of tech education journey, so this falls into the second one. Actually, right now, we are running the project with our partners in Egypt. We started, it launched in late August, now we're finishing the phase 1. Since Egypt is a bit more digitally advanced, I would say, here we're putting like bigger emphasis on diving deeper into learning about tech and different tech professions. At the moment, we have 400 participants going through the phase 1, and we're hoping that around about 100 girls gonna graduate and move into the internship phase. Here we can see planned activities that we have planned for the program. We're gonna finish next year's November. And the third project that we had, actually it was the first one that we had with the ministry. It started 2 years ago in November, and it was cross-border collaboration with partners from Uzbekistan, and that was focused for female founders who are having their businesses in digital space, but in Latvia and in Uzbekistan, understanding of digital space and innovation is a bit different, but still, it was an amazing project. We had 30 participants in Latvia and Uzbekistan, and 5 best from each country went to experience exchange trips, and for looking business opportunities, learning more about the markets, because for Uzbekistan it's very interesting and important to see what's happening in Europe, how our ecosystem is run and business is run. And for us, actually, Central Asia is quite an interesting business market. Yeah, and then I already mentioned we had this program, Digital ABCs for NGOs. It was worldwide. We had 86 countries, here we can see the map, 86 countries participating in the project, and just want to say thanks to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for spreading the word about the program. We had more than 1,000 participants, yeah, from 86 countries, and again, they build a community, they share their experiences with each other, and yeah, thank you for supporting us in our causes. So together, we can build a better future.
Thank you very much, Alice. I think this is quite an inspiring story about how ICT skills can really contribute to broader effects, and also the scale of projects that can be realized through digital technologies. Without further ado, let's look at Tilde's example when it comes to deploying digital technologies for sustainable development.
Okay, last 7 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, can I get my slides? So my story, Tilde is a leading language technology company. We are headquartered in Riga, but operating in all 3 Baltic countries. We have 33 years of history. And in the specific area of AI language technologies, we are quite well known, not only in Latvia and Baltics, but also in Europe and globally. And we collaborate with more than 30 different universities and research centers across the globe. And my story is about how we brought some of the experiences that we enabled together with partners in Latvia to other countries. And one of the things that so Latvians are not famous for bragging about their successes and accomplishments, but I would dare to say that Latvia is the first country in the world that has developed language technology infrastructure for public services on the national level, and we are now delivering this experience or bringing this experience to other countries. And thanks to our partners, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, as one of the co-financers, our partners in Latvian standardization body, Latvijas Valsts Standards, and it started with collaboration with Latvijas Valsts Standards when they were thinking about improving efficiencies of localization of international standards into Latvian language. When it comes to, we are talking about countries in transition in most cases when we talk about this support. So when country is transiting somewhere, being it some international association or international organization, there are multiple challenges that are related to the localization and translation of different types of documents, starting with legislation, and definitely standardization or standards, different types of standards is part of that journey in most cases. And what we wanted to demonstrate or to basically create small. There was a question about shall we go big or shall we go with a smaller scale. In our case, we are talking about kind of pilot projects where we were setting up workflows for standard translation for local national standardization institutions or bodies in different countries. It all started in 2021 with working with Georgia. I will save some time. I'm just saying that at that point we saw more positive transition intents in Georgia than we see today, at least on the national level or on a public or government level. So we helped Georgians to set up a workflow for machine translation of different international standards. Next country where we tried our luck was Uzbekistan. So this is where we meet Tegos here, and with the Uzbek National Institute of Standardization, the same exercise. So we set up a workflow. We trained, custom trained some of the agents. The challenge in Uzbekistan is that as you know, these AI technologies work if you have sufficient data. And in case of Uzbek language, following the good example of Kazakh language, they moved from Cyrillic alphabet to Latin a few years ago, which means that they basically lack sufficient amount of digital data to support any model training. But nevertheless, so we did this project. And currently the last experience is ongoing. As we speak, we are helping Ukraine with their efforts in transition and joining different organizations and associations. Yes, so that's basically my story. And these are small-scale projects. It's about demonstrating how technology can help with say, a large amount of kind of routine tasks. So that's the case. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think the presentations themselves showed quite the variety of what digitalization actually means, both from the perspective of skills development to access to higher education and education opportunities, access to finance, and using newer technologies. But looking forward, and when we're trying to figure out how to go ahead with the Latvian development cooperation agenda, my first question would be to Tal. Dalis, what are some of the emerging trends that you have observed in all those high-level panels on technology and innovation? How do you think digital technology will change the overall development cooperation agenda? And obviously, others are also free to contribute to this.
I think it was Niels Bohr who said it's difficult to make predictions, especially about the future. But I think regarding IT and digital technologies, we have quite clear trends already. I would say from my perspective, what we already see is that there is a huge influence on education system in general. As you saw in my presentation, it influences not just the primary schools, but the higher education systems. And I would say, on one hand, they're also challenging universities per se, because obviously access to the online learning, access to the big data models, they also make universities to run faster and to find new ways how do they work with students. One example also mentioning that providing campus experience is something that we see as added value, because on top of that you have courses, but then you have to also have a physical place for having hands-on experience. So I would say the transformation of education system would be one of the future trends. It was already said about starting at even the primary schools, and the access to the internet. I think it's very important, because obviously if you have 50% of the population or without that access, then of course they will lag behind, as COVID already demonstrated very clearly. Second is, I think what we see also working with the companies, with the startups, that use of digital technologies and artificial intelligence, but not only, all kind of digital solutions is a kind of competitive advantage for the companies, especially for the small ones, which are very at the, let's say, stage when they are still looking for the customers. They have to compete, find their niche. So by adding these digital capabilities to their product, that make them more competitive. And I think the ones who realize it, they obviously have kind of advantage in business. So I think this is something we also see. Even the companies which are having products for certain products for a long period of time, they have still, if they have enough innovation in their company to integrate these kind of solutions, that would make them more competitive. Then I would say another one is, of course, the whole story about future of artificial intelligence and language models. Last week I was visiting with the president and the companies, US, Silicon Valley, and we see how fast the technologies are moving there, using artificial intelligence, and I think this is, as it was said already, now there is really a struggle, not maybe so much for resources, but for the data and access to the data, and of course taking GDPR into account would be one of the competitive advantage also for at the country level. Like in US, they clearly stated, that access to the information so it can be used for training their models would be something what they wish they will be more accessible in Europe. And I think we have to be aware that this would be really very important to work out the strategy. So on one hand, to provide all GDPR protection, on the other hand, provide access to the data, which in the long run create, I think, business and also competitive advantage at the country level. Thank you.
Any other perspectives on the changes? I mean, from the one end, efficiency gains in the development.
There are 3 or 4 main drivers for technological advancements. One of them is, of course, efficiency, or the main driver probably is efficiency, where we are dealing with this digital transformation, automation, robotization, and also technology AI application cases. Second one is basically data-driven decision-making. So we have collected a lot of data over years, since we have a digital environment to do that. Third is personalization of everything. So because we have data on particular individuals, companies, we can personalize our goods and services. The extreme probably example of this is personalized pharmacy, where you have drugs that are like aimed at a particular individual. And the last factor is we live in this experience economy, meaning that everything that is related, the competitiveness of businesses really depends on what kind of user experiences they can deliver, not only to their customers, but also employees and collaboration partners. So, and again, technology developments are also supporting this experience economy.
Maybe I'll just talk about, I think to add on what Alisa said, the Riga girls are starting in primary, which is very good. As Afri Women Connect, we've partnered with an organization from Barcelona, Spain, called Africa Digna Foundation. I think some of you have heard about it. And they provide scholarships for the very needy, bright students, but at high school level. So we are trying to encourage STEM, and STEM is all about sciences, technology, and mathematics. So we encourage girls that could be very, very brilliant and drop out of school because they don't have school fees, or they lack finances for their education. And so Africa Digna is able to take up these girls and pay for them their education up to university level, and even sometimes up to masters, depending on how committed the girls are. So that way we are having in Kenya, we are contributing to more and more girls taking part in STEM. And even in the school that we have chosen to support, they do exchange programs. They travel out of the country. You know how exciting that usually is. And so for them to participate, again, it's an expense. And we have a kitty just to be able to support these girls, the girls who are in STEM and cannot afford to travel, so that they're able to travel. So this is an incentive for more girls to get into STEM, and therefore we have more girls embracing technology right from high school, and by the time they get to working level, then at least we're able to mitigate that no technology myth. So that is basically what we're doing on the education part, and in terms of being all inclusive. Thank you.
So technology is providing inclusiveness opportunities alongside the efficiency gains and sort of additional data for monitoring the process. I would also like to invite everybody. I mean, we have, maybe we can put up, you can certainly ask your own questions on Slido to any of the audience members. But Alisa, what do you see in this overall space? Do you see that there are certain changes that technologies are bringing generally, and specifically, how do you think it can be better integrated into development projects? I mean, normally we do, different kinds of capacity building interventions from the one end. On the other hand, there is infrastructure that is being built. But how do you actually integrate digitalization into your day-to-day work?
Into day-to-day work?
Yeah, of sustainable development.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Into day-to-day work, that's all that we do, right? If we're talking about the programs and the projects that we're creating, especially with collaboration with the ministry and development cooperation projects, Yeah, that's the first thing that we think about because, as I mentioned before, tech is for everyone, and we need to start young. And what we are bringing is our experience that we built here for these last 8 years. But yeah, it all comes. Again, it all comes with experience and the stories that we hear, and it also starts with amazing partners that know what they are doing in their own countries. So I will be very happy to talk with you, Jackie, afterwards. Yeah, it all starts with real stories and real experiences, and we're very happy with our partners that we met throughout the years. So they know the situation that's happening in their countries the best, and the only thing that we can bring is, again, our know-how and our experience.
One of the sort of overall global discussions has been the advent of, oh, we have a question?
Yes.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Me too. So I'm Ilo Talaza from Marta Centers, and it's really amazing to listen to all of you. And of course, we appreciate all these digital developments, and I think we are enjoying them, and that's fine. And also economic empowerment of women, and everything is really nice. But we as Marta Centers also face another issue, and that is not so nice. It's technology-based violence. We also see, you mentioned these wonderful communities that are connecting to each other after your trainings and with some positive intentions, but we do see also cultures within digital environment that actually develop hate against women, and also we see a lot of harassment of women, stalking, and violence that from digital world goes to offline world. So while doing all this work that you do, while providing all these educational programs, do you also take into account these aspects and integrate these aspects and help with all these security issues? As we know, also legislation doesn't follow all these trends, and we are very happy about EU directive that should be enforced in our countries, but globally and nationally we still fail in this regard. So do you take this into account, and what do you do about this?
Yeah, I can go first. So we have a platform called Nyayo Moms in Nairobi and taking care of women in Kenya. And it's also another marketplace. And that is one of the things that we picked. Thank you very much for bringing it up. In my presentation, I spoke about women being shy to go online because of being judged. And what I didn't mention is being bullied online. So when we are encouraging women to come and have and embrace technology and even do their marketing on social media, we really try as much as we can to train them about protecting their platform or their accounts. And so we do that through training and just encouragement and preparing them that these are consequences of going online, so that when it comes, it's not a shock. Yeah, and so more and more women are embracing it. More women are counting the gains more than the downside. But yes, we are actually training them on how to protect, and it's really, and for women, it is not, the social media bullying is really bad, but the other thing is about them feeling judged, so they tend to shy away, and then we tend to close out a lot of opportunities for women. So we are preparing them for that. We actually have even counseling for those who have gone through that, and so that they don't go off completely, they're able to bounce back. So we've done that through Nyayo, what we call Nyayo Moms, one of our platforms. But maybe Alice has something else to add.
Thank you for the question. It's a very, very important and serious question. We encountered with a situation like that in our project in Africa. Then we understood that reality is like our reality. Don't go together, really. What we're trying to do, we are creating the safe space within the group of participants, and that's the least that we can do. Of course, we're not creating apps yet. We don't know the society that much, but there are communities, there are organizations in each country that's supporting ladies. Yeah, it's a very serious question, sorry. Yeah, it's crazy. But the least that we can do, again, is creating the safe space and raising the issues now when we are planning our next project. It depends, of course, on the country and the context. But yeah, we think about it more and more. And again, we talk a lot with our partners, with the experts from the partnering country to understand ins and outs and take into account those things as well. Thank you for the question once again.
Maybe to broaden the question further, what do you think are some of the downsides? So one thing is, as was mentioned, is this online bullying, but the adoption of new technologies is always seen from this perspective of it's a net positive. But what is on the other balance? Do you see any drawbacks or something to what development practitioners should be aware of when planning these projects that that promote digitalization or that use digital tools? What are the potential drawbacks that you see in this whole approach? Because we've been in these presentations, we've been largely very, very positive in this regard. Do you see any effects or negative effects that practitioners should plan for?
I can say about negative effects, but things to take into account is definitely think about available technologies in the country where you're deploying your project. For us, we are organizing our programs like mobile first, because we understand that computers and laptops are not that available, but everybody has a phone. Then again, there's a lot of power shortages happening in our experience when our internet broke down and there's no power at all. So we are recording all of our sessions, but that's like little technical thing. But another thing that we should take into account is the cultural differences, and I think you can only understand them when you're visiting the place, because we met with our partners online quite a few times, but only when we got there we understood like their reality. And by cultural differences, I mean like in the project with Uzbekistan, very practical little thing. For us, ladies in Latvia, we are organizing our online events around 6 o'clock in the evening, maybe 7 in the evening, right after work. In Uzbekistan, it's not really acceptable because they have to spend time with their families at that time, and they can dedicate some hours for teaching themselves only after 9 p.m. in the evening when kids are asleep, right? So yeah, taking those little things into account is very important, and talk with participants and potential applicants of the potential group that you're working with. Their opinion is quite important.
Any other perspectives on the negative spillovers or negative effects of digitalization that should be, or risks in deploying these particular tools?
Okay. For us, like we work with the organized women groups. We call them women collectives, and they tend to store a lot of data and information on their computers and everything. So one of the risks that we've seen is over-reliance on technology, and one day you wake up and your computer has crashed and all your statistics, information, financials, and everything is all gone. So just creating that awareness for them to be able to save their data, on cloud or something like that. So in the event that technology fails, then they have a backup. So yes, technology does fail, and you can actually lose very important data and history. So that is one of the risks.
There is such a big variety of risks related to technology that we could devote the entire evening of discussing them. But I would just maybe mention, apart from traditional ones related to ethical questions and some privacy issues, I would mention when it comes to the use of artificial intelligence based tools, we are losing this human touch. So basically we distance from each other because we are moving from physical world into a virtual world in all our communications. And second, maybe big risk is a loss of critical thinking. So we rely, this over-reliance is not only related to a potential of losing data, but also potential of losing a critical mind. And this is also very important. But there are many, many risks. But I really would like to say that we see more on the upside than on the downside of it.
Certainly interventions at any point. Is there... one of the aspects were yesterday, for instance, during Paul Kagame's visit, one of the sort of areas of cooperation that Latvia highlighted was that in the future the idea would be to move towards a closer cooperation in digitalization. But the overall question is, how would you define success in using digital tools? Is it the question of usage, or is it something broader than that? Maybe, Rector, what do you think about how would you define success of a digitalization project in sustainable development?
Well, we're engineers, so we basically always measure everything, and there are ways to do that. There is different indexes like DESA, where we are something, if you talk about Latvia, 30% below average. So I think there's one way, of course, looking, how about connectivity is about using data. It's about also the speed of internet, etc. So they are very kind of tangible things how you can see if one or another country is succeeding. But I think it's also important to see if these technologies, and I think this is one way of looking at it, have been really used to create value. I mean, in terms of, one, of course, education, but how these technologies are being used, also creating business. And I think they are very going closely to the innovation capacity of certain countries. We are not really at the, let's say, forefront of this measure. There's a way to look at this so-called innovation index. And we see there is this is also one way to demonstrate how the digital technologies are adapted. I mean, how they are being really used, because they could be there, but they are not being used, which is, I think, that one very practical way of looking at it. And of course, at the practical side, if you look at the kind of basic digital skills, how, for example, elder generation is using these technologies, and then I think we are not doing so well, so bad in this respect, but we have some, I think, challenges that to encourage smaller companies actually to use digital technology. So there are different ways to measure it, and I think this is the kind of way also to see how we're moving forward.
We have also a question from the audience, and this is, I guess, to the broader panel. Is technology undermining democracy by allowing elites to exploit weak data protection and consolidate power outside power, especially outside of the EU?
Maybe I will start. I think what we have seen in the same Uzbekistan, and it applies to actually not only Central Asian countries but also African countries, is the growing influence of China. So Europe is knowingly lagging behind in this AI technology development, research and development, not only from the United States but also from China. This is one of the ways that China is trying to get its influence or soft influence over those regions. And the question is, do we have? Can we respond? Is there? We see that if for instance, if you look at Uzbek companies are quite successful in developing, for instance, different computer vision solutions, but the models that they are using, the foundational models that they are using, are developed in China. So it's again, it's a question: do we allow this? Is this something? Do we believe that that the long-term intentions that Chinese government have are they based on goodwill? I don't know. rather not. And we see the way for instance, those the same technologies are used inside China to monitor their citizens, for instance, or to get more control over population. So it's of course technology has an influence on democracy and society.
I mean, democracy is about communication, right? I think Harari has a just book on that. You can read it. It's exactly about this, because if you have some media like artificial intelligence interfering with communication, obviously it will influence also democracy. So I think it's a very strong link, and we have to be very cautious about it. But how to, deal with that is just, as we always say, you have to be one step ahead. You should know what you should expect. And this is about teaching, about education. I don't see any other solution.
Some of the risks over there, and so we see that the digitalization itself presents quite a lot of challenges to both democracies, while simultaneously it seems like there is no other option than to get these efficiency gains than to digitalize. And one of the aspects when we're looking at cooperation in the digital space, I mean, from the Kenyan perspective, Jackie, Kenya is renowned in East Africa for its very booming ICT sector, for a lot of startups that are happening in Nairobi and outside of it. I'm just wondering, how do you see how international partners can best support these homegrown solutions to some of those some of those challenges that businesses have identified on the ground?
Kenya is extremely vibrant when it comes to digital acceptance, and how can, having seen the risks and challenges that we face, I think for us, for anybody wanting to support, any partners wanting to come in to support Kenya, it's really about capacity building and just creating that awareness. It's a huge population. We are dealing with over 50 million people, and 75% of them would actually embrace technology if they could have access to technology. And here we are looking at service providers that are affordable. Currently, we are having Elon coming in with the Starlink to just make sure that they are able to provide internet into the really, really remote areas of Kenya, or even some areas are not very remote, but the internet is just not there. And when it's there, it's not affordable to everybody. So then affordable internet can, I think, create the kind of support that we are looking for, just to ensure that everybody is able to benefit from technology. So for us is mainly capacity building and provision of affordable internet for us to be able to embrace technology as much as we can and make full use of it.
Looking at overall challenges, though, to projects that are being implemented. So we talked a little bit about risks to democracy, risks to our common sense from one perspective, and also obviously over reliance, privacy, and so forth. But from a practical, we have a lot of practitioners in the audience and most probably listening and watching as well. What do you think, looking at Alice, when implementing these projects, what do you see are the key challenges when you're going into these projects? So we heard about some of those things that might be necessary, some of those risks, but what are some of those practical things that somebody who is now watching and saying, oh, we are going to have another grant proposal for digitalization projects, I'm definitely going to run for that, I'm going to make sure I participate, I know a few people somewhere around the world, I want to collaborate. What are some of those sort of key challenges and risks that somebody who is thinking in this space should be aware of?
Yeah, all right. I already covered like the practical things. First of all, find a great partner that understands what they're doing in their own country and understands the the audience, the cause, and for us, partners are the key, seriously. It's very important to work with like-minded people, again, because of many differences. I've already covered the cultural differences, work culture differences as well, and many different other aspects. Other practical things that they have to consider, a great question. You have to think ahead. The budget part is quite important, and take into account that costs are always a bit higher. Please be flexible, because a lot of things are happening, and you have to adapt. Again, take into account technology advancement and availability in the country where are you creating your project. And again, know your audience. I think that is the key. You have to understand to whom are you creating this opportunity.
Yeah, just to add on to what Alisa said, as I said, Starlink are trying to come into Kenya right now. The biggest service provider, internet provider, is Safaricom, and I can assure you there's war. Yeah, so again, as you're planning to come in, you need to just prepare yourself for that. You're coming in to take a market share, right? So there's going to be resistance, and you find that the big players could even use the influencers to attack you. Yeah, through the social media. So it was very interesting last 2 months as Starlink just introduced their option, and Safaricom were fighting, literally. Yeah, so there was a lot of online fights, and we could see now Safaricom upping their game and trying to make their speed very good and everything, but Starlink were already there. So as you come in, you need to prepare yourself for war, real war. It's silent war, but it's terrible war. Yeah. Yeah, so there's the aspect of resistance by competition.
No, we're very close to war. Any other practical advice for somebody looking at sort of starting out in this space from the perspective of maybe the RTU or Tilde?
No, I think it's very important that we are able of defining the problem that we are identifying, defining the problem that or challenge that we want to address with application of technology, and of course the related learning as well. So defining the problem, also starting. I always suggest start small. So limit the scale, maybe limit the audience whom you want to develop something, test it out, and if it works, then you can always scale it up. Yeah, but do not. And last but not least important is also manage your expectations when it comes to technology. Then, especially recently, we see a lot of hype regarding, for instance, large language models, generative AI, and its capabilities, and as long as it is used for like a personal support or a personal, let's say, as a personal assistant, these things work pretty well. When you try to apply those technologies in the business setting and get some feasible, tangible, sensible outputs, then in most cases, in many cases, companies fail. So it really is about also managing expectations. So this is my advice.
Yeah, and I like what Kaspers is saying about starting small and just learning your market where you're about to venture into, because you find sometimes governments are changing. Like in Kenya, we had, transition from one government to the other, and the next government, the tax regime just went over the roof. So if you had come in, say, a year earlier, and you wake up one morning and the taxes that are being imposed on your business and licenses And it's crazy. It's crazy. And so if you've invested very heavily and you want to pack your bags and go, it becomes very challenging. So always start small, understand the market, get to know how it is on the ground when you're there before you can really go big. So starting small is good, especially if it's a new market and you really don't know much about it. And then just learning the government, because government, you can't run away. You have to work with the government and you have to go by the law of the land. So very important, especially for those coming into Africa, Kenya.
Maybe moving to one of the last questions. As long as obviously everybody can contribute. If you have a question, please raise your hand. And but one of the last things that I wanted to ask from my end, and largely in this digitalization space, we like to position ourselves as a digitally savvy country. So, and this is sort of an area where Latvia is looking into, but. When you're looking at Latvia's role globally, in the previous panel discussion, we had a discussion about whether there should be a focus in development cooperation on something niche, something very specific, or should we be generalists? And when we're talking about digitalization, it's an umbrella term. We saw today the differences in different approaches. But when you're looking at the Latvian next 25 years of development cooperation, so what do you think are some of those cost-efficient approaches that Latvia could use to harness its competitive advantages in digitalization? How can we become more impactful going forward? What are some of the specific areas?
I'm sure that perhaps we will not decide whether Latvia should go and where they specialize, because the market will do it for us. And of course, what we could do is that we have to look into the niches where we could find our strongest, let's say, impact. But I would like just to scale up, kind of looking from this question from the distance. I think what we as an academic institution see is that there are two ways how to really, create business. One is that you are more on user side, for example, using the technologies which have been developed. Another one is to really more, let's say, as you said, find a niche and concentrate on developing new solutions, and then someone will take over. Business will take over and scale it up. I think we need to still find our strong niche on developing new technologies, and I certainly see Latvia has a potential from research institution point of view, and two areas that we already working very closely with other universities. One is quantum communication, another is photonics, or the future of data transition. Latvia has actually beaten the world record in data transition using the optical chip solutions. So I think we need to kind of diversify risk on one hand, working with the technologies what we have available, but also finding the niche, because this is, I think, very important for investors. When investors are coming to the country, they're always looking at a certain niche, and we have to be able to offer these niches. And I think as I mentioned, there are 2-3 areas where we are very strong, and we need to kind of continue to provide more depth in.
Will you reveal the secret to which ones those are?
I mean, as I mentioned, that the quantum communication in general, and the photonics as the future for semiconductor, or not semiconductor, chip technologies in general. These two areas, regarding digital technologies, I think this is where the future lies, because most likely there will be requirement for more data, for the more energy saving, let's say, servers. And photonics is one of the area where you have both. You have speed, and you also have a safety, and also you have a less energy consumption and CO2 emission. So I would say these two.
Well, I would add then the third one at least, which is, again, the language technologies. I believe we are we are in a very, very good position in this regard. No, I can also tell that we are very proud at Tilde of being chosen by European Commission as developers of the regional foundational large language model. And I believe large language models are there to stay. This generative multifunctional AI technology is going to develop. We are also doing research on how to add different types of data to these models, like for instance sensor data, which will open new functionalities. And I think again this experience of ours of developing such models and also how it works. So you have this foundational model, and the reason why we are developing those regional and national models is because most of the large models that are currently accessible are developed in majority using English language data. So, or data that not only, but English is heavily prevailing, and thus the generative outputs are usually not so of so good quality for languages spoken by smaller communities. So again, our experience in applying technologies or finding technologies and developing them for smaller language communities with hopefully good results can be multiplied into other countries as well. And we will see, because those foundational models are just the first step. Then the second thing is you develop kind of functionalities based on those foundational models, like for instance creation of text or creation of video or audio or any other type of data. And then the third step is to build products and services based on these functional models. And I think we are small enough to do this rather quickly, and to not only to develop the foundation, but also build it up to the products and test those products because we are pretty good in early adoption of different types of new technologies. So this opens a door for Latvian and Baltic companies going to other countries and kind of replicating this experience or delivering already ready products and services there.
Alice, from your perspective, 5 years in the startup space, where do you see, what are some of those cost-effective approaches that we could do in development cooperation?
Thank you so much. I wanted just to take a step back and from startup ecosystem perspective, invite us to maybe invest more in human capital and talent. We have quite a lot of talented people, but unfortunately they are moving elsewhere and doing bigger projects. So I think we need to think more about how can we educate and train and inspire and invite people join the tech force. And another thing is promote innovation and entrepreneurship. We're very talented, I think tech savvy and problem solvers. Latvians are always solving some problems, right? And that helps in the startup ecosystem. So yeah, I think our goal would be to inspire, become creators and builders of technologies. What we lack actually in the startup ecosystem is the support in the early stages. We have quite a lot of ideas, but it always comes up to the money issue and then fundraising. And again, since I'm working a lot with female founders, Jackie started in the beginning that it's difficult for ladies to raise funds. In Europe, only 2% of whole funding are going to the female-led teams, which is not that much. So if we could create a space, an ecosystem, or support thing here in Latvia and support more people become entrepreneurs and nudge them into that direction, I think we could get great success.
Jackie, usually Latvians really like to hear what foreigners think about us. We do tend to ask people all the time, what are we supposed to do in this field? What do you think, like just very briefly, what do you think are some of the things that Latvia could do to become more sort of visible and maybe more impactful in the digitalization space?
First and foremost, can we have a Latvian embassy in Kenya? Oh, well, dealing with other countries is hard. The last time I was in Latvia, I was in the US, and I was at Maryland, so it's very close to Washington, D.C., and it was so nice to just go to Washington, go to a Latvian embassy and access, my visa. And in Kenya, it's not very easy, and I'm not saying that whoever is representing there is doing a bad job, but it's always easy to deal with the country directly. Yeah, so that visibility would really, really go a long way in just making sure we can partner. We have a place to go to and get the questions. I know with technology, I could just go into my and type and be able to get solutions. But as Kaspar has said, the human touch, yeah, and for Africa, we like to confirm that this thing is actually real. So Latvia is a country, and it's actually there, and I know people from Latvia, so visibility, very, very key. And then I think after that, everything will flow. But I'm very happy to know that Latvia, we have a lot of Kenyan students here, and some of us actually working here from Kenya. And so I think the journey has already begun. And going forward, it's just all about good partnerships and just growing that, basically.
All right, so thank you so much, and for good partnerships, I think we're definitely wishing that for the next 25 years of Latvian Development Cooperation. With this, we conclude this particular panel discussion. Thank you so much, and I would like to invite a round of applause for our distinguished panelists.
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all panelists receive, you've been observing today that panelists have been receiving small souvenirs, and they are actually made by social enterprise who are employing people with disabilities. So it's a special gift for all speakers. And now we have almost come to the end of the event, and I will try to make a summary of this event, and then we will have also special thanks from Ministry of Foreign Affairs to partners. So it's very hard to make summary actually for such a long day, so many perspectives looking backwards and forward, but I will try. And of course, if we zoom out at global scale, and it has been mentioned that we are living now in the times of multiple crises and different kind of processes going on at global scale. But what I think we should value also, as Mr. Yarat said, that these problems are the ones that our generation has created. And I think we need to look on this perspective from this standpoint. And even though this conference was supposed to look backwards, we were looking forwards. And I want to make three main points as a summary of this event. First, about the framework. We didn't speak, honestly, very much about SDGs, about Global Gateway and Pact of Future. They were mentioned. But we do operate in some kind of international setting and international framework. And as Mr. Pildegovich said, we need to be more vocal and visible at this global landscape. And of course, before we dig in that, we need to understand who is we. And here I think a very valuable comment was made also in one of the panels, that we are definitely also Baltics. We need to cooperate more at Baltic level, but I would expand it also even more beyond the Baltics, that we need to cooperate more with our partners, with Moldova, who is approaching European Union, and also with our colleagues in Ukraine and Uzbekistan and Kenya who have been presenting here. We can be also the voice of the others, not just our own voice. But to do that, as Sarah Strack said, we need to rebuild trust in multilateral systems, because we see that actually this trust is extremely declining now. And we have in our next 8 months last miles of elections to United Security Council. And this will be, in a way, also a sign how much do we trust in our society, in multilateral systems and United Nations. Many speakers actually mentioned also these changing economic systems, and Minister also, Baiba Braže, she mentioned in the opening speech that we need to change these economic systems, and I would add on also a change of these financial infrastructure of development, what we have been tackling here today. And if we look on transformative approaches at global scale, we need probably to ask question why? Why we do that? And many of speakers mentioned that we need to do more needs assessments, social impact assessments. We need to understand. Our entrepreneurs said they have been asked why we are doing development cooperation. So this is something probably what we need to do more in the future. We also noticed and heard from many speeches that there's a growing demand for our partnerships, especially, of course, in Ukraine. And this means that more and more stakeholders are taking part in development cooperation. And as we saw, which panel was lacking time? The one of the stakeholders, right? So we have already so many stakeholders in this, if I may say, even a game. Another takeaway, I think, about this conference is that we can lead by example. And this is, I think, what we all can agree about, that we can be the ones who can lead with example, who can open the door for others, transfer culture of business, as it has been mentioned, to other countries, and strengthen also democracy. We just heard the panel on technology. We are very admired by technological development, but at the same time, democracy is decreasing. So it's not the same that technology would support growth of democracy. No, it's actually vice versa for now. And what mentioned Zana Petre from representation of Commission, I think we actually, by development cooperation, are tackling root causes of conflicts. And as conflicts are growing and stagnating around the world, we need to more work with different type of instruments. How? Many speakers, and also asking the questions that have been asked from audience were how? What is a good percentage? What is a perfect recipe? And we understood that there's no perfect recipe. There are projects like one of RGSL who has a considerable impact on governance, as we have noted. There's expert-level skills investment, as said Minister Braže, and as agency confirmed that you are making this database of experts. A lot we talked also about locally led development, and as local Union of Local Governments mentioned, actually this is how they have been investing in development so far by locally led initiatives. And even what we saw, what was interesting from the example of Uzbekistan, that they said that these local investment by NGOs have had impact on government policies. So it's not just from government to local level, but also vice versa. At least what I heard from many of our partners who were presenting also their stories was that we need to invest more in people. Yes, we need to have infrastructure, as it was said, not just investment in people, but also infrastructure. But as our colleague from Ukraine said, she said we need to invest in people who will rebuild then the country themselves, right? And this, what I also could add from one of the speakers, that adding innovation in every project, that was Chamber of Commerce who was mentioning that, could be actually also maybe our good recipe. So what I was when I was listening also to this last panel, and I think it sums up quite well what we have been discussing about this one way or another, was maybe it's not one or another, but it's how we can scale these small things what we can do with our resources at the global level. So we do small things, but we scale up them. And another, and the last point what I would like to make is that we didn't talk much about multi-stakeholder cooperation here. We were looking more from sectorial perspective, but if we look from the perspective of examples, we heard that many were saying we found each other, we cooperate with our partners. We even had a saying that friend is in need, friends in need are friends indeed. So, so this means that that actually we do make these multi-stakeholder partnerships, even though if we don't talk so much about this kind of approach. As for future, of course, we need to be more effective, data-driven. As we see, technologies will provide us this opportunity. But on the other hand, as the question from Senator Marta pointed out, we see that there is violence, there's decrease in democracy, as we see from NGO sector. So I think it's not just about technologies, but also about values. And this is probably my add-on for this conference, this final summary, because I cannot resist as NGO person not mentioning values. We can do very good projects, we can measure the impact, we can count everything, but what is the value what we are going for? And I think we have sometimes forgotten that actually this is for humanity, for human rights that are in the center of the development, and equality, as Minister Braže mentioned in the beginning of the conference. So thanks everyone for contributions. This conference was made in partnership with Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and this was also learning for us in the process, how we can look from different perspectives. And now I would like to probably give a floor to our partner to sum up from their perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ines, and thank you for the wrap-up and the summary of conference. So with this, I would just say that our conference has really come to an end. But before we depart, so I would like to thank you, everyone, each and every one of you present here in the room, and to those who traveled far, those who came from near, but to those who sat on that panel and debated and raised questions and debated and raised questions again and answered to the questions, to the audience, thank you for your engagement. And I would like to say thank you also to those who listened and watched us online. And of course, I wouldn't be fair if I wouldn't say big thank you to LAPAS and Ines, to you as well, as for co-organizers of this conference. Without you, this would be of much success, most likely, and I cannot forget but to say congratulations on the 20th anniversary and your celebrations. I hope, and I'm pretty sure, that our cooperation will be as successful as it was before. And with this, I would say thank you very much. And I hope we'll see you again probably in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, when we will have a chance to look back even further and even broader what we have accomplished and what is still ahead of us. Thank you very much.